Today, I think I want to give you a sneak peek into my creative world, my practice. Come and join me. Hello friends, my name is Angela Bolaños. I'm a local artist and a teaching artist at Pérez Art Museum, Miami. Today, I'm coming to you from our learning theater at our new art station. Our art station is Pérez Art Museum Miami's solution to our need for social distancing due to COVID-19 pandemic. Here, you can take a sneak peek at a local artist's creative process. You can safely ask questions, find out what type of materials they use, and then move on to our galleries and exhibitions. The artwork that we're going to create today is actually inspired by my own work. I like to call my paintings abstract landscapes. They are a visual representation of my feelings, my emotions, and they're my own coded language which I use to communicate and connect with the world. I usually start with a vision or an image in my head, but my process is really fluid and I feel like I work in collaboration with my materials, and I often allow them to do what they will do without trying to control the process. For today's art project, we're going to use few materials, but we're going to be able to create a very exciting and colorful abstract design. I'm going to be using watercolor paper, but you can use any kind of thick paper that you may have at home. I'm also going to be drawing, so I'm going to use my pencil. And I'm going to be using watercolor, which is one of my favorite mediums. I'm going to use 3 different colors of watercolor, and this is liquid watercolor, but you can use any kind of watercolor that you have at home. We are going to be using our masking fluid, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more later on. Some sponges for texture, a water spray bottle, and something you can find in everyone's kitchen, salt. Since this project is inspired by my work, I thought that we could create a design and use one of my favorite mediums, which is watercolor. Now, I'm going to start by drawing a design on my piece of paper. And this is going to be an abstract design, which means it's not a recognizable shapes. You might be able to recognize some circles, but that's about it. And you can see I'm just using a pencil, tracing the lines, taking my time. Depending how you like your lines to look, you can take your time, they can be straight. For me, I don't mind if the lines are not perfect. I actually think there's something really exciting about imperfect shapes. So I'm going to just do this a little bit faster. Now that I have finished drawing my design, I like to go on lightly with the eraser just to make sure that the lines are not as sharp and they don't show as much in the final composition. Now, since I'm at the art station at the Pérez Art Museum Miami, this is something that you can see me do live on a regular basis. Not only just creating the work, but also sharing with the visitors my process and why I create the work, and not just myself, but a number of other local artists from the Miami art community. So I'm just going to very quickly erase some of these lines so that they are not as visible when I use my next material, which is going to be the art masking tape. Okay. I'm going to use one of my brushes to get rid of some of the eraser dust. And you can see that you can still see the lines, but they're just not as prominent as they were before. Okay, very nice. Okay, so now if you have an old brush, I would recommend that you use an old brush because this may ruin the brush. You can start adding one of the more fun part of the process, which is adding the masking tape to the design. And I'm going to just go over the design with the masking tape. And what that's going to do is that it's going to cover the surface and it's going to protect it so that when I use the watercolor and the watercolor dries, then you still have that white space on your paper. See, this is one of the most satisfying parts of this process. And I'm just going to do a little bit just to show you, but I already have one that I have worked in advance so that I can continue my design quickly. You see, you just go, just like you're painting, but instead of using color, you're using this cream color liquid that is going to solidify in a few minutes and just protect the surface. Okay, so now that I've given you an idea of how to do this part, I'm gonna go ahead and use one that I have already prepared in advance. And you can see how I have traced all the entire design with the art masking tape. Okay, I'm gonna put this aside for a minute. Okay, now I have 3 different colors that I'm using: blue, purple, and a dark pink or fuchsia. And with this, I'm just going to have fun with it, and I'm going to be generous with the amount of watercolor that I use, but not overflow the paper so that it doesn't take as long to dry. And I'm gonna do it in 3 different sections. I'm gonna use blue on top. This is liquid watercolor, but you can use any type of watercolor that you have available. Do 3 different colors here. Now I have a few brushes here, and I am just going to start by spreading the watercolor like I would usually do with any composition. And you can already see how the masking tape is protecting the design. So I'm spreading some of the watercolor. And then I'm going to use my sponge to create some texture. I could, if I wanted, also use my water bottle and throw some water in it, but I think I have enough watercolor for this composition. I'll do a little more paint. And then my last but most magical ingredient is going to be using a little bit of salt, because what this is going to do is that this is really going to give it a great texture all around this design. So I'm going to just throw some salt in here, and then when the watercolor dries, you can remove the salts and you're going to get something close to this. Okay, you're gonna get something close to this. You can see the beautiful texture that the salt has created all around the different colors. It almost feels like a tie-dye kind of design. So I'm gonna move this to the side for a minute because the last step in creating or abstract design is that I'm going to remove the art masking tape that I added in the beginning. So all I have to do to peel it off is just rub it, and you can see how it starts coming off very easily. And you can see the white space that I created with the original design. It's almost like a science experiment in a way. And that's a big part of my creative practice. I like to see where everything goes. One of the things that I ask the most is, what if I add this to my composition, and to be open to an unexpected result. All right, keep going, almost there. Can use all my fingers if I want to. Okay, and now I'm just going to clean it up. Oh, just a little bit more. And here it is, your very own contemporary abstract watercolor design. I would love to see your pieces, friends. So please use the hashtag PAMDIY and show us what you have created.